want to show you something I got here. I just obviously chopped the top off this oak leaf lettuce. Where I worked, they've since opened a new branch up in Queensland. They used to truck a lot of stuff to New South Wales. And grown and packed by Mockingbird Fresh. Where I was working at that nursery, that is the biggest vegetable nursery in the Southern Hemisphere, they claim, but I'll at least say in Australia. That's vermiculite. We used to put vermiculite on top of everything. Those cells that could well have come out of a similar sized cell. By the way, because customers of the nursery I used to work at were friends with a Vietnamese ex-wife of my dad's friend, I managed to get 5 propagation trays that have originally come from the nursery I used to work at. They've still got the company name on the sides. So I got those a couple of weeks ago. Usually with these they give you, there's 2 that planted in the one. You'll get like a purpley one and then you get like your normal green one. But for whatever reason, this batch that they had this time around was all just, there was a couple that were doubles that were both very small, and then there was a lot of them were singles, and frankly this is the better looking of a lot that should have been doubles but were mostly singles. And for some reason they were all green, no purple ones, but usually you get one purple, one green. And see, what they've done here is they've initially grown it in potting mix, and then after a certain point in time it's gone to the customer, who's continued to water it for a short while. Continue to water it from above is what I mean, for a short while, until it maybe only needs to drop an inch, like not an inch, more like half an inch or 3/4 of an inch down to the main dealio. There's a chance that they may have actually stuck it in. Usually they use 90mm PVC pipes that we use for stormwater, and they make up hydroponic systems using those. And they might have just literally sit it in the bottom and maybe water it from above for a day or two, or like a week more like it, or a week and a half probably, or may have just started watering it with a hydroponic system from below straight away. And sometimes, you know, there's ways where they can flood it and then release, or they just have a constant flow. But when they're growing full size, they'll often be a constant flow, or at least a flow that runs a few hours for a day, you know, an hour at a time, 2 hours at a time, might go 5 times a day or something. But ultimately, this is what sits in the bottom. So I reckon the water's incoming on this side, and just by the way the roots are trailing out to real thin there, that's where it's outgoing. And so it started in potting mix, and then it sits down flat like that, and then it keeps getting watered as is. Now this one's sort of fairly square and straight on the sides, so there's a chance that this is like the square tubing that this has gone into. But they've started in potting mix and continued on hydroponics. I just thought I'd point that one out, and because it's an interesting concept for people sort of confused by how how to use hydroponics. Don't worry, you can sort of start in potting mix and then transfer to hydroponics at a later point without a problem.